Guys, what's up? So today I want to talk about something that really frustrated me, and it was chronic anxiety symptoms. It was the symptoms that were always there. They were there whenever I woke up. They were there whenever I was trying to fall asleep. Obviously, they were there whenever I was anxious and stressed. They would intensify. But even whenever I wasn't consciously being triggered or consciously anxious, the symptoms would still be there, and this made acceptance very, very difficult for me. You know, we talk about acceptance with anxiety. We talk about acceptance with health anxiety. I had health anxiety really, really badly. I was a hypochondriac. So this really confused me. It made me feel like my anxiety symptoms had to be something more, like it had to be an actual disease or illness, sickness, something physically wrong with me, because I didn't understand how anxiety worked, okay? So if you're dealing with this, you're not alone, but you know what time it is. Smash the like button down below if you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you deal with this. You are not alone. If you're new here, subscribe. Tons of videos like this to help you with your anxiety, whether you're wanting to manage your anxiety or recover. This channel is for you. We're a huge family. Be a part of that. So in the beginning, when I first started experiencing anxiety, I was having a lot of panic attacks throughout the day. I was having a lot of anxiety symptoms, but they were mainly being triggered from me getting anxious, right? Being consciously triggered. So the symptoms would pop up after I read an article or Googled some symptoms. Don't do that. Saw something on TV, whether it be a TV show, a commercial, a movie, hearing a story from a friend. That happened to me a lot. Hearing stories from coworkers about somebody passing away or dying or having a sickness or illness or a disease, I would automatically assume that that was going to happen to me. Getting in a long getting into a vehicle and driving. Pretty much just a couple months into my anxiety disorder, my triggers had spread to so many, and a lot of you are noticing that. The longer that you have anxiety and you're not doing something to manage it, or work on recovery, or develop a routine, or implement strategies, tools, tips, things like that, your triggers will spread. It started with one or two things, and then there's like 50 things a couple months into it. So ironically, even though I had health anxiety and I was struggling with acceptance, in the very, very beginning, in the first couple months, I would even argue that my acceptance was even better, because at least I would get anxious consciously and then the symptoms would arise. Don't get me wrong, I still struggled with acceptance. It was probably still at like 10, 15, 20%, but there was a sliver of acceptance because it made more sense to me. What didn't make more sense to me was the longer that I had anxiety, I started to have a certain set of symptoms, and I would go through cycles where these symptoms, chronic symptoms, would change, but I would have symptoms long-term no matter what was going on. Now I was having symptoms even whenever I wasn't being consciously triggered, and this freaked me out. And the first one that happened to me was chest pain, okay? It can happen with any symptom. It can be trouble breathing, chest pain, it could be headaches, it could be nausea, IBS. And I went through all these different stages, but in the beginning it was chest pain. It went from here and there to like, oh my God, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I have chest pain nonstop. It's relentless. It doesn't go away no matter what, okay? So this could be from the buildup of stress hormones, cortisol, the constant adrenaline. You know, the longer that you have anxiety, the more that these symptoms will set in and take a hold. But something else starts to happen, okay? And it sucks because we don't understand this. We start putting focus and emphasis on that symptom. We start to fear that symptom a lot more than maybe some other symptoms, and it becomes your dominant symptom. This is the one that sticks around. I tell people whenever I coach them, most of the time, the symptoms that you fear the most, those are going to be the ones that stick around, and it makes sense, right? You have a symptom, you focus on it, you're like, what's that? Dang it, or this sucks. You have a negative attitude to it. That symptom holds on longer. Now, your subconscious sees it as like a success, like, oh, this is a way for me to get your attention. So it keeps sending that same message to you over a long period of time. So oftentimes, if you're having symptoms that you've been dealing with for months or even a few years, and you've been checked out and you're healthy and you've ruled out everything, nothing is wrong with you that a doctor can or a specialist can tell you, then what has happened is you put so much focus and emphasis and negative energy and fear into this symptom, and you're pouring gasoline on it, and this fire of a symptom continues to rage out of control. And like I said, I would deal with the chest pain, and then whenever I finally accepted that I had nothing wrong with my heart, I started to challenge the symptoms to get worse. I showed my subconscious that it didn't bother me. That symptom subsided, but guess what? I hadn't handled my root causes of anxiety, therefore the message changed. Now I was having some stomach pain. Guess what? Put the negative energy, the focus on that, and guess what? That symptom became chronic and lasted for months, okay? So I went through these different stages. I had a lot of other symptoms come and go, but the ones that I feared the most, those were the ones that tended to stick around. So please, guys, just understand that you don't have to be consciously anxious to have symptoms. The subconscious still needs work, especially if you're not doing anything to change it or rewire it. It's still in fear. So therefore, the messages will continue. So you have to break the cycle. You have to change your response while you work on the root causes of your anxiety, while you change your life, while you stick with a routine or tips and strategies and exposure. So you have to make sure that every time you receive those symptoms, you don't act in fear, you don't act in negativity or annoyance. And guys, I know it's hard. Trust me, it's very, very hard, especially if you have health anxiety and your acceptance isn't where it needs to be. Because then you're like, man, could this be a heart attack? Or man, could this be a stroke? Or, you know, is this a blood clot? Or is it this or that, right? I've been through all the disease scares. So it's even harder if you have health anxiety. So it's even more important to be on your A game. Get the test results, make sure that these symptoms are nothing else but anxiety. Work on your acceptance every day, right when you wake up, and start changing your response. Oftentimes I challenge the symptoms to intensify. That was one of the ways that I got my symptoms to actually go down. So instead of saying, oh my God, no, not this symptom, not right now, I was like, yeah, bring it on, come on, come on, come on. You've heard me talk about that in other videos, but it worked for me. So I'm gonna use it, right? Changing the response, sometimes it could just be quickly desensitizing the body, running it into a ice cold shower, which is an amazing grounding technique. It could be ice towels, ice rags, ice packs. It could be going to exercise when you have the symptoms. So change your response, do something proactive instead of focusing negatively on the symptoms, which is going to reinforce the fear to your subconscious, which will keep the vicious cycle going. So hopefully that makes sense. Guys, if you watched it this far in the video, thank you so much. I want you to go down below in the comment section. I want you to put in all caps, fear is gasoline for anxiety symptoms. Fear is gasoline for anxiety symptoms. I mentioned routine, I mentioned tips, strategies, a lifestyle change, a transformation. If that's something that you want and you're actually ready to start working, yes, anxiety recovery requires work. You have to be consistent. You have to do these things every single day. You have to embrace being uncomfortable. If you're ready for that, guys, grab my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. Extremely affordable. It's going to show you what I did from the moment I woke up until I went to sleep. It's my blueprint on how I recovered from crippling health anxiety, these chronic symptoms that I talked about, multiple panic attacks every single day. Stop listening to these people that say you can't ever recover from panic disorder. I am so sick and tired of seeing that, or any anxiety disorder. But you have to believe it's possible first. So grab that course if you haven't. Again, you're not gonna find a course that's that affordable. I made it cheap on purpose, okay? So people could get it, more people could get it. So be a part of that, it's helping so many people. Therapy is another thing that you can start doing for yourself this new year. I'll put a link in the description. It's for online therapy. You can see down there, try that out. You can do it on the phone, the laptop, the PC. Start going to therapy and try that out if you've never done it, all right? Also, my coaching info is down below. If you want to do one-on-one coaching calls with me, reach out to me. I'll send you my info. There's other resources, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook groups, all that good stuff. Remember to like this video if you got value and hit subscribe. And until next time, guys, keep fighting. I love you all.